Good evening. Good evening, Vincent, Stephanie, Charlie, everyone's here. Loads of people joining us tonight for Edith Pargh Barton's interview, which I've been looking forward to a lot, talking about her textile sculpture. But before we start all that, we have to do all our regular health and safety and all of that. What are you trying to do? Put your earring back in or make sure your headphones are working?
I should be hearing you in this and I'm not.
Oh, okay. I was slightly concerned that you were going to do a Van Gogh on me.
I can't hear you now.
Oh, dear.
But now I can.
Oh, you can.
You're in here now.
I'm in there. I thought you were going to take your ear off for a minute there.
You're in my head.
I'm in your... Well, that's good. Or is that quite worrying for you? So, hello, everyone. Edith's just going to get over the shock of me being in her head. I'm permanently in her head now, which is quite good. We're live streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you're watching over on Facebook and YouTube, Sophie will be over there. Hello, Sophie. If you've got any questions, please put them in there and Sophie will bring them over here. If you would like to join us on Crowdcast Live and ask your questions, Sophie will put a link in just so that you can hop on over here if you would like to. If you're on YouTube, you can't. No, you can. Of course you can. And yeah, same details. If you've got any questions, you're watching live on Crowdcast, we've got lots of people watching. If you can put your questions in the ask a question area, please make them questions, not statements. And because I struggle with that, I'm like reading. Put them in there and then I'll ask them at the end. We generally do, if I find that we've answered a question as we go through, obviously I won't ask it at the end, so you'll know that it would have been asked during the time. So yeah, let's get going. Let's get going. You're the second to last live. Vincent's the last live tomorrow.
No pressure.
No pressure, but sad. Sad. I've enjoyed it. And I went over to see the exhibition at Small Hythe Studios this afternoon with Rowena. And it was great. And I bumped into Michelle there and she said she's completely addicted and it has saved her. It saved her. She's loved watching all the interviews and it's really been a blessing during this time. So Annie's here. Everyone knows Annie's here. Had a lovely bluebell walk with Annie yesterday and Nadine and Tracy and yeah, lots of people arrived and we did a bluebell walk and gorgeous meditation. I sat down in like a Dingley Dell fairy grove and had a lovely meditation with Nadine. So that was gorgeous. So yeah, last live one tomorrow with Vincent. So yeah, enjoy this one, people, because we're nearly at the end of them. And then tea on Friday. Carol is the pre-record on Thursday. So yeah. So Edith Pargh Barton, I'm going to hand the screen over to you so people can get a full visual of your studio. I know you can't see the screen. Don't worry if she looks off to the left or right.
I can't see. You're too far away. I can't see any comments. I can't see anything.
Squinting. Squinting. So I'm down in the corner so people can really appreciate your studio. Look at that, people. We've got an entire posse of sculptures left and right. Before we get going, I'm going to first of all share the screen with the Art360 magazine so you can see how to contact Edith. So just going to put that up on there. There we go. Look at that. Oh, I remember the day of that photo shoot, Edith, with lovely Caitlin.
So sunny and hot that day.
In your studio, and that was all ready, prepped, photographs ready for your new website, wasn't it, which we're going to look at in a second. So that is showing some of your sculpture and then a couple of your paintings. So your practice is both painting and sculpture, a bit like Carol's was textiles and drawing last night, but we're going to focus mainly talking about the textiles today, aren't we?
Yes. Yeah, the textiles.
Yeah, so if you are loving Edith's work, which I'm sure you will be, you can go and see her website, which I'm going to show you in a second, which was designed by our lovely Chris. So if you want a website too, then Chris is a genius at these kind of things. So you've got the website, you've got the email, you've got Facebook, and you've got Instagram. And as we always say, if you like what you see and you fancy buying it, you can either contact Edith by email, or you can direct message her on Instagram, or you can actually contact us at Pure, because we have some of Edith's work on the website as well. I'm not going to show you that though, because there'll be too many screens flipping about. So the fine thing I'm just going to do is just show you Edith's new website so you can see. There we go. Look at that. So these are the photos that Caitlin Locke took that really underpin the website. So, as we said, you've got your practice goes across sculpture and painting. There's you in your studio. With the sculpture. But we're going to focus in on the sculpture, talking about the sculpture tonight. There's another one in your studio there. So yeah, people, if you're interested in, there's a gallery, and this is something amazing that Chris did. She made you flip books, didn't she, of your sketches? So these
my little sketches.
Look at these. They're great. So these are the sketchbooks, and you can see those under gallery. And Caitlin photographed those again, didn't she? So
yeah, she did. Yeah,
did a really good job of photographing those. Yeah, so that's great. Then you've got the shop, which is linked to Artwork Archive. There you go. So people can actually buy directly from there. Calendar of events, which is slightly thin on the ground right now, but won't be. We'll up that shortly, I'm sure. And then you've got your blogs. And I suppose what we're going to be talking about really is, why did I start making sculpture? That's really kind of the first question that we have, isn't it? So can you tell us a bit of it about your I'm having trouble with my teeth again today. I know.
And it's in my brain.
And it's in your brain. Your background, because you're clearly not from the UK. So tell us about your background.
I'm not from the UK. I'm from New York, from more the Long Island part of New York. I went to university in New York, and I got a degree in art, and my major was art and my minor was education. You could do that with America. And so when I graduated university, I was able to teach art only. Aside from having fine art degree, I could teach art only to children up to adults. And then after I graduated, I worked in Manhattan for a while doing menial jobs. And I also went to the School of Visual Arts, and I learned illustration and graphic design, which illustration was fabulous. The graphic design isn't for me because I'm not somebody who works exactly. And it was all paced up and mechanical a zillion years ago. That there wasn't any computers. And then I left New York. Friends of mine removed me from New York and stuck me in the back of their car and took me the back of their car with their two cats to California. We drove to California, and I wound up eventually, after being there for a few years, to get a teaching job, teaching art in an opportunity school in East Los Angeles to 12 to 18-year-old girls. And while I was teaching in California, I was also going to Cal State University in the evening, learning leather crafting, quilting, leather design, all kinds of things like that. And I stayed there. I was in California. I lived in Venice, which was very, very hip and groovy at the time. It's not like that anymore. And I met my husband on the beach, because when you're a teacher, you get a lot of time off playing volleyball on the beach. And I eventually relocated to Sussex, and I've lived in Sussex now. I've lived in the UK longer than I've lived in America.
I'm intrigued by the intervention. Why did they have to do an intervention and get you out of New York? What were you doing?
I was apparently at the time. You don't realize it when it's happening to you. I was falling apart. Oh. I think I was having a breakdown. Anyway, they took me with them. Can you imagine going cross country in the back of a car, no air conditioning, with two cats in a cat carrier? I really was not, And then I think for the first year I was in California, I slept. That's how bad I was. But you put yourself back together, and I was great after that.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
do. And it's great to have good friends who recognize that and just pick you up and say, this is what
yeah,
we're doing, and you're coming with us.
yes,
And also, that's really good because it shows you that nothing's the end, is it? It's
yes,
never the end.
yeah.
You can remake yourself. I had a nervous breakdown when I was 23 because I found out my dad was dying, and it completely took my legs away. But actually, although I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, and I wish my dad was with us every day, it underpinned everything I am today.
Mm, yeah.
Really sets you on a solid, once you've been able to negotiate something like that, it really sets you on a solid path. So you arrive in the UK.
So I arrived in the UK, what I considered the middle of nowhere from where I came from. And I had children. We lived on a farm. I had children right away. And what happened, I didn't do any art for 9 years. No drawing, no painting, nothing. All I did was Blue Peter, sticking and cutting, playing with my children, making curtains, interiors for the house, children's art. That's basically what I did for 9 years. And then I met a friend in Brighton who was I used to be a dress designer, and she asked me to help make cushions with her. So she made her type of cushions, and I made mine. And I have one of the original cushions I made right here,
Oh, wow.
which is a Hessian. It's from a coffee sack, because other friends of mine had one of the original coffee shops in Horsham, and they used to get their coffee delivered in these Hessian bags, and I made cushions out of them.
So
And
how, that's a
it's very thick. It's very thickly quilted. I don't know if you can see it, but it's trapunto quilted.
So how
And,
old is that cushion, Edith?
from 1989, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
1988.
So
It's a bit falling apart a little bit, but I still use it.
that is quality, people. That cushion is quality. It's still so what's the symbolism in that? Because there's a lot of shapes and designs and everything. What motivated you to have the wings?
Uh,
Or they're like cat's ears. Do you think it was the cat?
no, well, no, I think it was triangles. I was looking at a lot of Egyptian art, and I was sort of making up my own language. It doesn't mean anything, but it's just me making up my own language. Very simple design that you could translate into fabric and quilt easily.
And did you use the sacks in their raw state, or did you have to do something with them?
No, I washed them in the washing machine. I nearly destroyed my washing machine. And I kept them outside in the rain for a couple of months, because the rain is a natural softener. The rain really softened the fabric, and it made it less itchy.
So
And that was by accident. I discovered that by accident.
they say they're obviously quite textural still, because you're looking, when you're feeling them.
Yeah, they are. They're very rough. They're more for outside. I leave them outside.
Yes, because of course, as you said, they've been out in the rain.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
recolor them, or is that
No,
the
I
actual color?
no, I don't. This is the original color. This is acrylic. This is painted acrylic on here.
Wow. So you
Yeah.
started making they're amazing. So you started making those, and then how did that evolve?
So I started making these, and then I was making floor mats, and then from the floor mats, I decided they don't walk on them. You could walk on them. Don't walk on them. Started making hangings, and I found an art group to belong to, and I started exhibiting, and I was exhibiting these hangings on the walls without any protection. And somebody told me, in order for safety, so nobody picks the pictures off the wall, put them behind glass. So I started to put these fabric pictures behind glass, and this is one that this is sort of an example of. You can see that there's no. Can you see that?
Yeah, absolutely.
No,
Yeah, no, it was perfect. Tilt it back.
yeah,
There we
yeah.
are. Perfect.
So that is fabric. That's fabric that I have appliqued onto a background. And the background, I believe, is linen. and some of it is silk, beautiful silk, and the other is painted. I painted and frayed and hand stitched it on, and it's quite a thick, it's quite a deep frame, because I needed to have the glass standing off the fabric. I didn't want the glass to touch the fabric.
No, and it's interesting. You've gone for these quite distinctive block shapes again, haven't you? Is this more of your making up your language again?
Yeah, making up my language. And also, I mean, don't forget, I hadn't done any art for 9 years. I forgot how to be an artist. I forgot how to do drawing. I forgot how to do, be creative. This was my way of being creative. So all I was doing was just cutting up fabric squares, ripping them and fraying them. I wasn't doing anything special. I was just using what the fabric does and putting it down in different patterns.
So this was a bit like Carol was saying, she does those test drawings to get her hand in, to get her eye and her art brain back in. This is a bit like what you were doing here.
Yes, and this lasted for a few years.
So you were selling them behind glass, effectively?
I was selling them behind glass. Yeah, I only have a few left, because then I stopped making them because it was getting so expensive, and the frames are really heavy when you put this much stuff on them.
So what then caused you to transition from that, apart from the fact that they were very heavy and expensive?
Well, what happened was I decided that I couldn't go on like that anymore. It was just getting too costly. So I decided to try to make them three-dimensional. And I have one here, which is the first one I made, which is three-dimensional, which is more like a flat, like a relief picture standing up. And this is the first one I made.
He's incredible. So he's on I'm saying he could be a she.
Yeah. This one is drilled into a stone. Can you see that? Can everybody see that? It's drilled into a stone. It has a wire going all the way through it, and it's got wire. What's the chicken wire? It's got chicken wire and 2 pieces of fabric stitched and padded, and then I hand stitched it all together. It's a little bit bendy, and I put fabric around. I think I used a coat hanger. I mean, I just didn't have anything. I just used what I had. And we had lots of chicken wire because we had a farm, so there was chicken wire. And these little bits here are wrapped. I think this is wrapped telephone wire.
I'm intrigued how you go from that flat, quite linear, square, flat item to the concept of this completely different 2D, quite animated sculpture. What happened? How did that come about? Did you talk? Were you in a group that you?
No, it wasn't. I wasn't in a group. I didn't do anything. I think what happened was I saw the African exhibition at the Royal Academy, and I saw these carved doors, beautiful wooden carved doors that were just hung on the wall for, they were actual doors, but they weren't doors in the gallery. They were art, and I thought, oh, look at those, and that's what triggered me, that you could make something like that and try to make it stand on its own.
So you think that was the motivation, and then
I think that was a trigger. That was a trigger, yes.
And so you came back home and just started playing, did you, with fabric and?
Yeah. Playing. That's what I do. I'm not actually working hard. I'm playing all the time.
You are working hard because you.
I'm playing with all. You should see all the stuff I have. I'm always playing.
But it's important as an artist. It is important to give yourself the opportunity to explore and just play with the materials and test all different materials. Otherwise you'll never come to that what everyone's been alluding to, which is the unexpected moments, the moments of jeopardy, the excitement when something happens that you weren't expecting. So what did you feel when you started seeing this emerge? What were you feeling?
Whoa, well, I have to make another one. You know, this works. I want to do another one. So I did 4 like this. 2 of them are in Bannatynes. Only 4. 2 of them that I have left. This one is not available. And then I also did a gigantic one in stone, and I took it apart. The stone was so heavy I could barely lift it. And I thought, well, this is really great. I have the base on the outside of the sculpture. Is there a way that I can make the base inside the sculpture? And I think in America they call those stump dolls, but I didn't know anything about this because I'm not a textile person. I'm a fine art person. I don't know about all the textile trick things that people do.
Even though you did quite a lot of education around applique and, as you were saying, and
yeah, batik, yeah, leather and batiking. I taught batiking as well. You know, that was it was a long time ago. I was, years. I completely forgot all that because don't forget, for 9 years I didn't know any other artists. I didn't know anybody who was arty at all.
And that just starting doing those cushions really got you back into.
Yes.
Your
art.
Yeah.
So shall I show you the next group? So from me doing this base on the outside, I wanted to put it within. So I did the next series I did was this one. She's called Bernice, and she is different on both sides. Can you see that? Is the light okay to see that? Yeah. And she has got a driftwood head, lots of wrapping. She's got a button there. She's got felting and lots of beads, but there's no shape to her. And I thought, well, that's great. And she's got leather. She's got little leather dangly bits here. And somebody said, oh, they're really nice, but they're so straight. And I went, what am I going to do now? Nobody likes them. So from these, I did these people. This is very heavy. This one and this one, they're a couple.
I'm quite concerned now because I'm inside your head and I'm wondering what it's like in there.
Join me, everyone. So look, this is Ready, and this is Willing. He's a guy. You can tell he's a guy. He's got leather, and he's got a little.
He's very hippie though. He's very Californian, isn't he?
He's got leather coming out here.
Lots
of and there's
tattoos.
Yeah, there's lots of embellishments. I've done a lot of embellishments on these. And what these are, again, it's a stone inside here. I put a stone to weight them. Yeah. All this is wrapped.
So is that wrapped wire again?
This is wrapped plastic. I think it's called plastic caning. There was quite a lot of it at the time, but it's plastic caning. And on the ends is, I used to pick up wire and things from the beach. So this is wire from the beach. And this is a palm frond, which I'll show you all this stuff later in its raw state.
So,
and there's lots of little embroidery on here as well.
Yeah. So when you start a sculpt, does it start with the fabric or does it start with an idea and then you create the fabric? Which way round does it kind of go?
It goes both ways.
Oh.
Sometimes, what happens is I process, and I have loads of fabric that I process. And then I don't know what to do with the fabric, so I put it away and I don't want to look at it. And then I figure that I want to make a shape. I want to make another sculpture. So I start making the sculpture, and I make the shape, I make a pattern, and then I have to then choose the fabric. And instead of going and looking for fabric in a shop, I go to my little stash of fabric that I make, and then I decide what I'm going to do with it like that. It works both ways. During lockdown, I made several large sculptures, and I knew what shape I wanted, but I had to make the fabric. So it goes both ways. There is no one formula for me.
And the shapes, you've got different shapes, so they're still quite upright and still quite straight, although coming out at the bottom.
Yeah, most of them are like that. And I'm in some sort of
no, you're all right
there. Most of them are like that only because they need to have a sturdy bottom, and normally you need a wider bottom to keep it stable.
I'm visualizing the sturdy bottom now.
This one's got a really sturdy
bottom.
But this one, because I didn't like the wobble, this one has a wooden base. I put a wooden base on here. I think there might be a stone in it, but there's a wooden base in here. And this one has palm frond for hair, very stiffened in PVA.
So they've all got a character. They're all kind of people based.
Yeah, and they're very textured. Yeah, they're all people based.
Yeah. So they all have names. How do you come about the names?
Well, I sit with them for a while and they talk to me and they tell me.
They give you they say my name is.
Well, I hear things. You hear song lyrics, or you read a passage in a book, or you hear a conversation, and I write things down. And when I have a title book, and when I finish making my sculptures, I sit with them for a while, and I look at my title book, and I know that title has to go with that sculpture. That's how it works.
And you've got some little tiny ones at the front here.
The little teeny weeny ones. These little teeny weeny ones were done during.
I like you just discarded him.
Well, he's not really teeny. He's not really teeny weeny.
He's quite tiny though, and he's got ears.
Well, he's got hair. He's got feather hair.
Yeah.
And this is dyed, and it's a really tiny little hand stitching on here. You can't see it.
No, not
you can't
really.
See the hand stitching.
We've got lots of them on exhibition in Ballantyne, so people can go and see them. Ballantyne Spa Hotel in Hastings. They're all in the cabinet. They're waiting for everyone to go and see.
So these little guys, these are completely different. This is a new thing I made for the little one. Oh, I gotta get away from the sunlight. These have a magnet on the bottom.
Right, so you've done stones, you've done wood.
Yes.
You've done stones and wood.
And I've also done concrete, which you can't see. But this is the bubble. I did these during the Zoom meetings when I was on Zoom meetings with you. What are you doing? What are you doing? Put that away. I was doing this. This is what I was doing.
When we were doing all our chatting and during the first lockdown.
Yeah.
And they've got quite a lot of stitching on. They're quite colourful. So some of them are quite colourful and some of them aren't colourful.
Yes. These are very colourful. These are the conversation. Oh God, the sunlight. These are conversation. Now this is bits of fabric from sculptures I had made before, which I didn't use all the fabric, so I appliqued it onto here.
And that's a bit like a painter, which you are also a painter, but that's like a painter repainting over an existing canvas, isn't it?
That's exactly what I'm doing. So now you can see I'm not 9 years without art anymore. All the art and all the creativity is coming back again. Well, I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know what anybody else thinks, but that's what I think.
It's pouring out of you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's coming out in paintings, and we can see all the sculpts that you've been making during lockdown all around you. And at the far back as well, we can see some of the paper templates that you've made.
Yes.
Ready in anticipation.
Okay, now this is also completely brand new. I started this before lockdown. So what these are flat drawings that I did. I was on a course which was Cuba cloth. Did lots and lots and lots of charcoal drawing. And I thought, well, what am I going to do with these charcoal drawings? I don't know what I'm going to do with them. And I saw somebody in the class was making these little three-dimensional shapes, sticking them to the wall. I thought, well, that's exactly what I do. Why don't I do that? So I just twisted it around and made a three-dimensional paper. And what I did was I transferred it to a sculpture. I made a sculpture, but it's not finished. And I'll show you what
progress.
It's a work in progress because I don't know how to finish it. I don't know how to make it stand. I don't know how to. It's not like the others where they're stuffed. It's different. This is different. It can stand by itself, but it's very light and it could blow over. I think it needs a wooden base. But this is what it is.
Or maybe
This is what it is on this side. This is Vilene. And on this side is calico, which is painted and sewn. So you can see the stitching on this side.
Yeah. Both sides are amazing. You want to still be able to see both sides, don't you?
Well, that I never thought about that. And you can see I've sewn
blanket stitch.
Yeah. So that when I twirl it around, when I just twist it around, at least it won't have a raw edge. You'll be able to see that. You'll be able to see that like that.
Yes.
But I really
saying, could you use a strong cardboard tube inside it?
Yeah, but I'd rather not do cardboard because cardboard, the color might come off.
And it also might deteriorate over time.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's some way of stiffening them. And I was just thinking about an armature, some sort of armature inside, like wire armature. That like in the garden, you get those garden kind of things grow up. What are they called? Those things, pyramids, or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
You could try and kind of you could get some willow or something and try and construct it around that and use the willow as part of the piece.
Yeah, I mean, I have done lots of willow. I have done willow sculpture before, but yes, but I think it needs a wooden base. And what I was thinking was just getting a wooden base made and attaching it to the wooden base. And if I did that, then it would stand by itself and it doesn't have to be stuffed like all the others are stuffed.
Yeah, like a ring, like a embroidery ring.
Yeah.
Like an embroidery ring. You could attach it to something like that. Mark Austin's your man.
I know. You
need to go and see Mark.
Collaboration.
Mark, watching. Edith's coming to see you. Because I think he's really helped Julia Desch with resolving some of her work with creating wooden items for it to sit on. And I think, I don't know. There's lots of things you could. I love them though.
Yeah.
Because you can see inside, and I love that. It's a bit like the paintings that haven't got the edges. They're kind of broken at the edges, and this is taking everything one step further, isn't it? It's really sculptural, and the stitching, and they very much look like your industrial paintings.
Yes, they're the same sort of marks, aren't they?
They are.
You're right.
Yeah, they're the same sort of marks. So if you look on Edith's website under gallery and you look at industrial paintings, you'll see, if you hold that one up again, Edith, the one that you've got flat, you'll notice that the marks and the shapes are very similar, and the colors you've chosen as well.
Yeah.
They could be hung, yes.
Yeah. See, all of these pieces here were these little pieces that are added on, these fabric. These were all part of other sculptures. I saved everything.
And then you've painted. Is some of it painted as well?
Yes, it's painted, and it's painted with fabric paints, and it's also painted. I found these during lockdown. Paint sticks, fabric paint sticks.
They're like a chapstick for your lips.
I know. It's exactly what it does. It's really amazing. It's like waxy crayons, and you don't have to do anything. You just draw with them. They're really good.
Wow. Sophie, have you seen those? Metal teepee might work. Yes, exactly, Charlie.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking,
Yeah.
like a metal teepee or a wooden teepee inside.
Yes. Yeah.
I do love the fact that they're not all completely can finish like these ones on the right, where you kind of
Yeah.
like finish them.
Yeah.
I didn't see what you said before, Jane, but you said really interesting imagery. So we thought you'd be an abstract and arty.
Look,
Yeah.
the thing there's like tags, there's tabs, so it's not just straight. I've left a little bit overlapping.
Yeah, and so it very much of that kind of, as the painting evolves and it's got the edges, it's going back to very much like the cushions, where the cushions had the edges on them, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to stay still. I'm always evolving, and if I stay still too long, I'm not a very happy person.
As you put these around, it looks like it's got creatures. It's got a real kind of Quentin Blake creature thing going on as well. It's looked like these two are having a conversation and they're sat down having a conversation. It's incredible. I love it. Absolutely. But that shows you, you just got to keep pushing and experimenting and exploring, haven't you? Playing.
I'm playing all the time. If I'm not having fun what I'm doing, I have to put it away. If it's not fun, I can't do it.
Well, you're not in alignment with yourself then, are you? I think there's ways to go with that. And look, this guy here, look, you've got like a fox chat going on here. The chat with the other guy around the other side. I love them. Fascinating. And as I say, I can really see the language of your painting and especially your industrial paintings coming through now in your textiles, which is really exciting. I have to say, as a curator, and seeing that evolving, it's exciting, and I'm really thrilled to see.
Oh, thank you. I'm thrilled that you're thrilled.
Good. Well, we'll be making an exhibition of those sometime soon, people.
Yeah, and don't forget, some of them can hang. Somebody says, "Well, why don't you make lamps out of them?" And I go, "Nah, I don't want to make that."
You don't want to make it a domestic item out of them, do you? But hanging, as in, responding to something that's going on now, like all of the everything to do with lockdown, and also about the Me Too movement and everything. You could definitely, I could see them an outcome reflecting all of that going on, and that would be a hanging kind of flag, banner kind of vibe. But you're the artist.
Well, I love the input. Gotta have the input.
Yeah, because you were saying in the early days you didn't really have the input, did you? And that's what slowed you down.
I had no input. I had no sharing. I had no communication. It was just me in a sea of no creativity at all, except for Blue Peter.
Well, there's nothing wrong with Blue Peter. We all grew up with Blue Peter, but as you say, it leaves, there's a little bit of a void there. How are you going to take that forward? So you found this group in
Crawley. I found a group in Crawley, and I was with them for quite a long time, doing all kinds of things, exhibiting, and I was also doing murals with one or two of them. So that was good. I also did workshops with them. We were able to do workshops. I've done the big draw a couple of, quite a lot of times. And then I belong to a Horsham artist as well. And also with Horsham artists, we exhibit, we do open studios. And I also did lots of workshops through Horsham artists. And then I found Pure.
And Sea Whites, didn't you, along the way?
Sea Whites, I still do. When I've done some online courses, but Sea Whites was, I think, 2004. I started with Sea Whites, and that's when I remembered I know how to paint. It took me a while, but that's when I was doing all my painting. So everything I've learned in Sea Whites, I started in Sea Whites when it wasn't Sea Whites, when it was a little half-day painting at Rackham Village Hall. That's how long ago it was, and it saved me. It was the best thing I ever did.
Apart from Pure, of course.
Apart from Pure, yes, of course.
You came to Pure. How did you find Pure? I don't know how you found. How you came.
Mary Beanie. I knew Mary Beanie from the Chalk Gallery, where I was a member just for my sculptures at the Chalk Gallery for years. And you were putting on an exhibition at the what's
Howard Mills.
no, it begins with a W. What's that gallery in
Wing Gallery?
The Wing Gallery. And you were putting on a textile exhibition. And Mary said, I know this lady who does these textiles. And I didn't even meet you. I was going on holiday, and I dropped all these sculptures off at Mary's house. And then Mary showed them to you, and you put them in the Wing exhibition.
I remember now.
Yeah, and then I went to the Wing exhibition to see them, and you were having an opening, something that had to do with Pure, and we went over to this other, that's where I saw Louisa. Louisa had her drawings in those beautiful frames, and I think it was a new venture, those frames. And it was in a like a village hall or something. That's just right, down the road.
September Art across the road.
Yeah.
I did a guided tour, didn't I? I did a curator's tour of the September Art exhibition. I remember. Well, that's got to be like 7 years ago.
Yeah. So that's how I started, and that's how I became a member.
Yeah, I completely missed how you've came upon Pure, because people come to us from so many different ways. I miss Mary Beanie because she's now had to be isolated completely through the whole of this lockdown because she's got a lung condition. So I haven't seen her, but I keep in contact with her, and she's good. But yeah, we miss you, Mary. We're missing you. Yeah.
It just goes to show you the different connections you have from, you leave one gallery, you leave one group, and there's still some sort of communication that people keep you together within that group. And
so you came to Pure and you started exhibiting your fabric sculptures, and then you started having mentoring, didn't you, with me? And gradually you've evolved your career from there. And I'm pleased to see that you're really moving on a lot, which is fabulous, and that's so exciting. What would be really nice now is if you show us, because you promised unmake a sculpture to show us how
I will show you.
People will be disappointed if they don't get the unmaking.
So here I've got one, which is, I'm trying to get lower so I'm not in that sunbeam. My studio faces, it's all glass. It faces west, and it's danger. Anyway, here's this example I'm showing you. And even with the example, she's got a little hairdo. I don't know if you can see that. She's got beads for her hair. So this is the finished one. It stands by itself. It's a little bit squishy because I didn't want to overdo it. So I hand sew up the sides. I'm going to take that take out, and then you see it's a little bit opening. And what I have in here is stuffing. Lots and lots of stuffing. And what this is bamboo. Mm-hmm. I've researched that because normally all my other sculptures have polyester fiber fill, and I still have one bag that I have to use up. But from now on, after I use up that bag, I'm sticking with bamboo. And I researched some other things, and I was going to use K-Pop, but K-Pop is very flammable. Okay, so I'm taking out the stuffing.
And bamboo is incredibly sustainable, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm taking out the stuffing, and inside, so you see there's nothing left. It's just a little poor little person who's been unstuffed.
She's very thin now.
I know. And also I've started shaping them more. If you can see from the first one I did, it's all straight up and down. There's more of a curve. Yeah. And because I make darts, I do darts, seamed darts, just to get some shaping. And I put this weighted thing on the bottom, self-contained. And what this is washed grit.
See, where'd you get that from? Just from the DIY shop, presumably?
I get this from the garden center.
Garden center. So people would use that in their aquariums.
Aquarium? No, I get the cheaper stuff. I don't get the aquarium stuff. And what I do is I wash it, and I wash it, and I wash it, and wash it, and then I dry it in my oven. and then I have them ready to go. So I have a little stack of these.
Mm.
So this is how it starts. Just most sculptures are just 2 pieces of fabric like that,
Mm-hmm.
and a base. That's all that it is.
Wow. And so do you have a pattern, or do you just randomly cut it out like that?
No, these I usually I have to make a pattern. So this is the pattern for this one.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see I've got darts,
Yeah.
2 different things of darts. I have darts here where I put it together, so it has a bit of a shape. And sometimes with some of these patterns, I can do anything with this pattern. I could make it longer, so it does, or I can make it shorter from a basic pattern. I can do quite a lot of things with this pattern. I can make a little one.
Little tiny one, yeah. So
Yeah, or make a really long one, which I've used this pattern for some of the others in the background, you know, really, really tall. But whatever I do, it just has to be slightly bigger on the bottom than on top, just for stability.
so do you keep all those patterns and you just kind of go, right, I like this bit of material and
Yes, I keep everything. I keep everything. And what makes them all different is the slightly odd shape, because I can't make it exactly every single time. What makes it a little bit different is the fabrics that they're made of and how I embellish them.
so how do you show us some of the fabric that
So
you
this, okay, so this fabric is a bit from an angel I made during lockdown. And what this is, it's muslin fabric,
mm-hmm.
very big piece of muslin fabric, squished up, placed on top of a just curtain lining,
Mm-hmm.
ironed so it's all squished up, and then I randomly sewed it.
Where do you get the material from in the first place? Do you go and buy new material, or do you do recycled material?
A lot of my material is recycled. So this curtain lining was from other curtains that I had. The muslin with bits of muslin I had for
Yeah.
various projects. I very rarely go and buy new fabric. Some of my fabrics are people give me things. Here's one which I've made. This is I don't know what to do with this one yet. This is heavily sewn. You can see it better on the back. And on the front is Lutrador. And Lutrador is a safe, spun bonded, uh, uh, non-woven material. And you can paint on it and you can sew it, but you can also melt it. And you can melt it by using one of these tools, which is a hot tool, a heat gun.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't burn, it just heats up and melts. So I will make something out of that one day. I don't know what.
So you
but
just
I will do something.
you just sat at the machine with all these various things and just made the material. That's one
Yes.
part of the process, and then another bit is the concept of the sculpture, and then eventually the two of them come together.
Yes. Yes. And yes, that's exactly what happens. Yeah. And these are the bits that are left over. I have lots of bits left over, and I will then put them, these little bits, into another sculpture.
All those lovely things that you're making on the vinyl.
Exactly.
That's all new and exciting, and we haven't seen where that's going to go yet.
We don't know where that's going. We have no idea. That is
about.
That's this one.
Yeah.
This is what this one is lots of tiny little bits of silk put down on a just a base fabric, a cheapy base fabric that I had, with another sheer fabric on top, sewn, and then melted with, and I do wear protective, I wear a mask, melted with this thing, a heat gun. And the heat gun has lots of these little attachments you put on the end of it to make holes.
Where did you discover the heat guns and how did that all come about?
Okay, the heat guns. Okay, anybody who does an embroidery goes to the Embroiderers Guild or has learned embroidery knows about that. So I joined the local embroiderers group, and all the women there knew everything. So I learned all these little different techniques, but I didn't do it the way I was supposed to do it. I did it to how I wanted to do it.
Isn't that what an artist should do?
Yeah, I know. That's why I was a little bit crazy. I was naughty in that because I didn't do as I was told. I know.
So you do machine stitching and hand stitching. You do melting of things. You slash material. What's the slashing all about? Why do you cut?
I slash. So you can see here's slash. You can see slashing.
Mm.
Slashing is because I want to see what's underneath.
Mm.
This big giant piece behind me, she's about taller than I am, is all slashed. It's a technique. I forget what they call it. Proper embroidery people will know. I forget what chenille. It's making chenille.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that is. And you could do it in little squares. You don't have to do it in lines. This has got an oval. This one has an oval shape to it. So what you just put one or two fabrics underneath and then you slash through. You have to be careful. You have to sew it first and then you slash.
So Dee is asking, what kind of fabric do you put on top of the silk to use with the heat gun?
You use a fabric which melts, so a polyester fabric.
So something that's got an element of plastic in it.
Yes. And what the other thing you can do, don't have to use silk. If you use, I don't have one here. I've sold. Oh no, one of them is in Bannatynes. If you put fabric which is polyester underneath the sheer, they both melt, and you get some really interesting sticky wicky shapes.
Ooh, sticky.
But again, yeah, you have to wear a mask because it's a little bit fumey.
Yeah, make sure you take all health and safety precautions.
Yeah,
we're doing this and experiment. A lot of art I find is dangerous. There's a lot of danger involved, isn't there?
I know, danger of death to be an artist.
Yeah, whatever you do, like, casting or stitching and gluing. And yesterday with that stiletto business with Carol, I was like, heavens above. You lot really take your life in your hands. It's quite simple for me. I just say, hang it over there. Talk about it. Have quite an easy life. So we've got some questions.
Okay, question. I hope I can answer. Are they easy questions?
They're easy. Okay. I promise you. So the first one was, and I think we've kind of covered this from Annie, is did you get any feedback from other artists for your early work? And I think
yeah, see, you either like it or you don't like it. When I used to exhibit in the Sussex Guild, people used to think they were doorstops, or they would come by and they talk about the ceramics they were looking at, and I'm going, they're not ceramics, they're fabric. And if I started to tell them, they'd walk away quickly.
The next question is, given that you had no support, did you investigate other artists like history, culture, etc. in the early days?
No, because all I could think about was looking after my children and doing laundry and things like that. No, I need people. I need people in my life.
So it was really, it was the game changer was finding that first group.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, a very good suggestion actually from Annie is you could light the ones that we were talking about on the left over there, the new ones that are still in experimental. You could put lights inside. Yeah,
I wondered about that. Instead of hanging them and making lamps, I wondered about that, putting a light inside. I know you can do it, but I wonder if it would show all the mucky stitching behind, what that would do.
Mucky stitching. And it could be interesting, but you'd have to, again, health and safety.
Oh, you get LED. You'd be okay with an LED light.
Yeah, you need to speak to Shelley. Shelley's your man for life, isn't he? Speak to Shelley.
Yeah.
Ex-goldsmiths technician. He should be able to help you with that, I reckon. He'd probably help you with the structure as well.
Yeah, Shelley and Mark, I think.
Yeah, Shelley and Mark. Fran, can you hang these new pieces so they could tiddle around in the draft? I was very anxious to say that properly.
Well, yes. I mean, that's what I was talking about, going
Yeah.
like that. That was me blowing them in the wind.
I love that idea. I love
Yeah.
that idea. I love the light and the fixture. I think there's so much you can do with them. I think they're great. And I love the fact that they're not going to be stuffed. I think this is the next station on, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. If you need inspiration to do you start with making some embellished fabric? If you're really so to get in now, do you start with some embellished fabric?
Yes, that's me playing. I'm always playing. So I have a box of stuff that I play with. Yeah. So this is stuff that I play with. And I think, oh, I'm wasting my time. And I go, no, this is what I call processing. That's what I do. Yes, you're right. So I have little boxes of processed stuff. And then I dump them all out. And I think, what am I going to do with them? I mean, I have these. I have these back here. That this is all stuff I use. This is esparto grass. And this is chair caning. This is wrapped rope. This is wire around the chair caning. So all this stuff is good to go when I need it.
Yeah, so this is all your kind of like sketching effectively to get you into your sculpture, and then none of it's wasted because you might employ it later.
Yeah, none of it is wasted. It's all used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dee said golden paints make a medium that is used for stiffening fabric. That might be interesting.
Yes. Yeah.
That might be interesting. And Vincent, because obviously he's like me, we're very health and safety, Vincent.
Yeah.
He's like, keep the wired connections well away from the fabric, Edith. Otherwise there's a risk of fire.
Oh, if I do the light. Yes, of course.
Do the light.
Yeah.
We're both very anxious, Vincent and I, about health and safety. You know that we're very risk averse. That's absolutely fascinating. And bearing in mind, I've been working with you for a long time. I've even learned some things that I didn't know, which is just lovely. It's charming, and it helps me very much when I'm helping story tell when we do the exhibition. So really, really fascinating. I still love the little baby ones.
Oh, these little tiny ones. I know. They're the bubble, because there's 6 of them. A bubble, they're called.
Yeah. And I know he's not for sale, the very first one. But I think there's some essence of what you're doing now, definitely from this first one.
This one here.
Yeah, there's definitely some essence of that one. And the way it's moving, it's a lot more fluid.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want it to move, and it also bends. It also bends.
I love that. I think there's some essence of that in the new things that I really think is charming, and I'm excited.
Brilliant idea, thank you. Because I have lots of those back there, and I have more to do, because I during lockdown I bought heavy sew-in Vilene, and that's what the new ones are. It's heavy sew-in Vilene, and I wanted to go for the really heavy one, that is almost like one of the people said was cardboard. Yeah. But I would have broken my fingers. I don't have an industrial sewing machine. I just have a very old Bernina. Even if I had really thick needles, I didn't want to. I wanted to start off sort of easy and then make my way. But yes, you're right. This is really good.
Yeah, I know. Anyone would think I knew what I was talking about.
Well, you do. You do know what you're talking about.
Thank you so much. It's absolutely fascinating. As I say, even, someone who's worked with you over the last few years and knows your work quite intimately and been part of that process of evolution, I've learned something interesting. And I know lots of people are saying it's really fascinating. And I think, Fran, as your friend, knows a lot about your work, but Eva has enjoyed it. Maybe paint backdrops for your sculptures. Oh, that'd be super cool idea. I love that idea. You kind of make them into like little theatre sets.
Well, I have animated them.
NFTs?
No, not NFTs. I've animated them. I've made little films of them moving around.
Yeah, you have, haven't you?
Yeah.
Which are digital They're digital, so they are effectively, unless I know they're not minted, but they are NFTs before they're minted. That's what an NFT is. So
Yeah.
thank you so much. It's been absolutely brilliant. I've really, really enjoyed spending that hour just, exploring that in a bit more depth and really understanding, where it all came from.
Well, better, maybe you can tell me later because I have no idea. I just say, people, what do you do? I don't know. I just make stuff.
Look on Edith's website. She talks, she really writes very eloquently about her background and about her work, and fascinating history and where you came from, your upbringing and your background, and how that's translated into the middle of Sussex. So no,
yeah,
absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. Tomorrow,
thank everybody for listening.
Yeah, we have Vincent tomorrow, which will be great. Looking forward to Vincent, chatting to Vincent, talking about his lockdown. We're going to particularly focus on his lockdown journals because I think people are really intrigued by those. So we're going to go into a whole discussion about those and bringing colour into his work from quite a monochrome palette, as I said yesterday when I was chatting to Carol. So yeah, we're going to talk about that tomorrow. So yeah, look forward to seeing you here. All those fingers and there. Tomorrow I'll come back up on screen and just say goodbye with you. There we go. So thank you, Edith. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone who's been watching us over on Facebook and YouTube, and we'll see you here again 6 o'clock tomorrow. Take care for now.